Hi, we're Group 2, and this is our corporate governance presentation on the Boeing Company, a large cap American aerospace and defense company with a market cap of $133.7 billion, average share volume of approximately 8.9 million. Next slide, please. Company describes itself, as you can see listed in the white box, a leading global aerospace company and a top U.S. exporter. It boasts of being employed in over 150 countries across the globe. And with its global perspective, it is committed to fostering a culture based on our core values of safety, quality, and integrity. Some other key facts about the governance. Led by a chief executive officer with oversight from the board of directors. We'll get more into that in a moment. It also has a governance and public policy committee, which periodically reviews the company's corporate governance principles, which are really squared away on their website. And additionally, the company boasts of being long-term focused and focusing on the long-term interests of the company and its shareholders. Next slide, please. Some corporate governance highlights. There's an independent chairman and CEO, the board chairman, Mr. Stephen Mollenkopf, and the CEO, Mr. Kelly Ortberg. Very thorough corporate governance resources for this website, and they're listed here on a link, but also just a couple highlights. They believe that the optimal board size for their company is between 10 and 14 members, and they currently have 12 members. They have 6 standing committees. You can see those listed on the bottom left-hand portion of the screen. And they are a stakeholder governance model, but they place great emphasis on long-term interests of the company and its shareholders, so it's kind of a hybrid model. Over to you.
Since 2020, Boeing has been a target for activist investors who are concerned about financial performance, the safety of Boeing planes, striking Boeing workers, and transparency from leadership. As illustrated by this chart, Boeing stock is down 35% over the past 5 years, while the S&P 500 index has risen over 100%. Boeing has posted annual losses every year since 2019. One major cause of recent losses was a strike by its unionized workforce in the fall of 2024. More than 30,000 workers demanded a new contract, and their 7-week strike halted production of Boeing's jets. Finally, Boeing's airplanes, specifically the 737 MAX, have experienced significant safety issues. There were 2 similar crashes in 2018 and 2019 on Boeing's 737 MAX, which resulted in the deaths of 346 people. The plane was grounded before returning to service, but safety concerns were raised again when a door plug blew out on an Alaskan Airlines flight in 2024. These mounting crises have driven many shareholders to question leadership who have been less than forthcoming. Shareholders not only demand returns, but also that the company returns to the operational excellence that allowed them to dominate the airline industry. Boeing has faced shareholder lawsuits on multiple fronts. Shareholders have said that the company has prioritized profit over safety and misled shareholders when developing the Boeing 737 MAX. Boeing settled this case for $237.5 million and agreed to corporate governance reforms. Namely, they had to add a director who had direct product safety experience, they had to codify the separation of the chair and CEO roles, publicly disclose safety programs, and increase board oversight of safety through mandatory reporting. Shareholders also put forward a proposal to move headquarters of Boeing back to Seattle. While Boeing faced mounting scandals, a few major hedge funds, including Third Point and Elliott Investment Management, have purchased large shares of Boeing. While some say this is due to Boeing stock being undervalued, Third Point and Elliott Investment Management have carried out activist investment actions in the past, and some see Boeing as another potential target. Additionally, there has been major speculation that Berkshire Hathaway, led by Warren Buffett, may attempt to purchase Boeing. As Berkshire generally tries to buy quality businesses, this speculation comes with the additional speculation that Warren Buffett and his team would attempt to restructure Boeing's management and corporate governance operations.
As for activist investor and the outcomes received because of the Boeing strike, the Boeing strike caused major production halts with an estimated loss of over $100 million per day. Because of this, in March 2024, CEO David Calhoun ended up resigning due to quality control crisis and pressure from airline customer and hedge funds, as well as other large shareholders. Hedge funds closely monitored leadership changes, addressing Boeing's response to labor disputes, the product safety, and their operational efficiency overall.
Shareholder activism is neither a new concept nor is it unique to Boeing. Numerous Fortune 500 companies have faced similar pressures, and they've really created the blueprint that Boeing shareholders may have referenced in their own efforts to drive change. A notable example is ExxonMobil. The hedge fund, Engine Number One, challenged ExxonMobil's strategic direction, arguing that the company lacked a long-term vision to adapt to emerging technologies and failed to implement a comprehensive ESG framework. These deficiencies created risk not only to the company's stability, but also to the broader society. As a result of their activism, 3 board seats were replaced, and ExxonMobil was forced to improve their accountability with new and improved reporting processes to their board. This parallels with Boeing, as safety concerns led to board reconstructuring and increased oversight. Another example comes from the entertainment sector with Disney. Activist investor Trion Partners criticized Disney's lack of clear long-term growth strategy, particularly in the wake of CEO Bob Iger's failed departure, which ultimately led to his return. Similar to Boeing, Disney faced declining stock prices and shareholder dissatisfaction, including a suspension of dividend payments for 3 years. The absence of a well-defined leadership transition plan in both Disney and Boeing created an opportunity for activist investors to push for change, reshaping their corporate paths. These examples highlight how shareholder activism can serve as a powerful tool in realigning corporate governance. Boeing's experience is not unique, but part of a broader trend where investors are increasingly taking action to effect change. Next slide.
As for corporate governance themes seen within the strike and the company, Boeing faced high criticism for high executive pay while workers struggled for fair wages and benefits. The strike highlights the employee dissatisfaction over their wages, their job security, and company policies, including management decisions. Boeing's handling of the labor disputes completely reflected the corporate governance approach to human capital management, which is a key ESG concern. Next slide.
So we'd like to wrap up our presentation by presenting some general corporate governance questions that this case brings up. And we've established them around the 4 pillars. So beginning with transparency, following the events of the several 737 technical failures, investors pushed Boeing to release more information, including those initial safety reports and reviews and findings from internal investigations. While this was certainly helpful, what can activists push for to ensure more permanent transparency, and have they achieved a state of proactive transparency, or is it still reactive? Secondly, accountability. What is the measure of successful leadership change? In 2024, David Calhoun was replaced with the current CEO, Kelly Ortberg. While it may be too soon to say if this was an effective decision or not, what are some of the parameters against investors are gauging his success? Are they purely financial? Should there be other factors at play? And this kind of brings us into our next one, which is fairness. How important is human capital to the activist investor? For instance, despite the strikes and general dissatisfaction of its employees, back in 2024, the shareholders still voted to approve a very large executive compensation package for David Calhoun prior to his resignation. Could this have been handled better? And is this a possible indication that investors are not quite as concerned with the human capital that the company controls? How important is it really to generating shareholder value? And finally, responsibility. How does leadership balance the safety of the consumer with the financial desires of the activist investors? Inherently, investors are looking for financial gain and for financial success. Will there potentially come a time where these two are at odds with one another? You know, these are some questions that we would like to pose. And if you go to the next slide, we would really like to just invite you guys to share your feedback with us in the comments. We'd really like to engage with you and hear your questions and hear your ideas concerning Boeing and the activist investors at play here. And at the very last slide, we have our references for you, but we look forward to seeing you in the comments. Thank you so much.